Hello everyone, good morning. I hope everyone here is having a good week so far, whether you are someone who has been around for some of my Starfield videos lately, or if you are new here and just joining me for the first time. It's good to be back. I just got back the other day from my 12-day European cruise vacation, and I am now ready to continue making more videos. I managed to keep up as much as possible with all the news that has come out recently in those last 12 days, and I know we got quite a lot of stuff. We got some more promotional and marketing news around Starfield, showcasing some of the stuff to promote the game, news around some of the characters and voice actors coupled with them. We had some drama news around a screen grab of the main menu screen from an experienced game director, drama around a dude who stole a copy of Starfield, played it, and then got arrested for it. And then on top of that, we also got the Gamescom presentation, which, at least from what I saw, didn't really showcase a whole lot. So I definitely missed a lot of stuff that I wish I was able to make videos on. For those wondering, I am actually not going to be making any separate videos discussing any of that stuff, simply because I feel like it would be unethical to do so, since so many people have already talked about it in depth, and I feel it would come off as me just chasing views, and I certainly don't want that to be looked at that way. For right now, I am mainly focused on what's coming out from here on out. Basically, I'll say this, that I thought the Gamescom presentation was a bit lackluster. I've been very impressed with a lot of the marketing promotion that we have seen in the last week or so, and I think the drama stories were a bit ridiculous. The dude who stole the copy absolutely deserves punishment, and then the one guy who complained about the main menu screen, I think he was completely out of line, although I don't think he should have gotten total crap for it, but I'll admit his roasting was very entertaining. I cannot lie about that. For today's video, we're actually going to have a conversation around a recent interview that was posted by Polygon on the 28th, as a guy by the name of Owen Good was able to get an interview with Emil Pagliarulo, one of the game's top lead designers and developers. When I saw the title of the article, I am not gonna lie, I was very curious to see where this would lead to, and so we are going to break it down, but also go into a more broader discussion on a specific topic that I'm sure will heavily be talked about in the game. One of the first things that is talked about in this interview was how Todd Howard and Emil broke up their respective duties. Emil spoke to how he was the one who created all the lore of the game, while Todd was the one who came up with the actual game idea. Both spoke quite a bit with each other on how the game was going to be planned out. Emil used the example of one of the factions of the game being comprised through the conversations that both he and Todd Howard would have on and off. I would definitely have expected that this would have been the case, considering I imagine that Todd believes that this is going to be the most important thing that he's ever put his hands on. I know some people might consider this worrisome, because sometimes we see that when there are people who put their hands too much on something, it can maybe dilute it a little bit. I don't know if that will be the case here with Starfield, but from everything that we have seen, it does seem like that they are giving it a lot of care. The next part of the interview is where I think this video is really going to kick off, because Emil goes very heavily into this notion of how Starfield addresses religion and how the universe of this world is viewed by the characters inside of it. He basically spoke to the fact that the game is going to address two new religions, while every other real-life religion still exists inside of it. There is something called Sanctum Universum, which is a church religion where they believe that humans going through space and being able to explore the universe is a sign that God exists, and God wants them to be closer for them. The second new religion is called the Enlightened, which is this universe's version of an atheist church. Atheism is the exact opposite of what the Sanctum Universum is, where they basically don't believe in God at all. Atheism also exists in real life, so I'm actually not quite sure how this is new, but only new based on the game's version of what atheism is. I guess you could technically say that, because in real life, atheism isn't exactly looked on as a real religion, but more so the exact opposite of what most religious people believe is religious. And this game is now basically confirming the notion that atheism could be a real religion. Emil mentions that some other inspirations for this revolve around films like 2001: A Space Odyssey, Contact, and even Interstellar, which is my favorite film of all time. He speaks to the notion that religion was a way to talk about these big concepts without them needing to want to dive down the rabbit hole and make people mad. Which, by the way, I get what he's saying there, because religious people are very devoted in real life, so he's got a point there. He also talked about how they had one of the writers from Skyrim in Fallout 4 come in for this game, who is in real life trying to become a Jesuit priest. It seems like this guy is someone who did a lot of the writing for the portion of the religious part of the game, so while I haven't played either Skyrim or Fallout 4, I'd be curious to know how much of those games lean on religion, so let me know down below in the comments if they ever did. Emil also spoke to how he and Todd both grew up in religious settings, and how he's flipping back and forth on how he views things in life, and how that translates into the game with what the player will experience. He basically says that it is a way to open up for more interpretation, and that the player is freely completely open to look at how they want. Hence, what he says is the way that they wanted to represent all forms of views of any kind in any religion, atheist or someone who does not truly believe in God. So I think this is kind of cool because, again, it's just giving players, again, more freedom to be able to do what they want with this, and so I'm kind of glad that they did go down this direction. He also speaks to how the writing process was much different here than in his past work with things like Skyrim, for example. He said that something that had never been done before that was new to him here in Starfield was how they came up with a timeline of events for the story. As we already know, we kind of did already get that timeline. We got that news a couple of weeks ago when they dropped us a lore timeline of a lot of different events that led up to where this game takes place in with the year 2330. He was then asked about what it is that the theme of Starfield is truly trying to speak to and how everything that's come before connects with that theme. He basically spoke to this notion of the question of all of us asking ourselves, are we alone in this universe? What is the meaning of the universe? I also find that this is a very important part of the interview because, again, we know already for a fact that Starfield has yet to confirm if this game will actually explore the concept around finding intelligent alien life out there. That is why we ask the question of whether or not we are alone. We know already that the game is going to have alien creatures, so in that sense the question is already answered, but the question is not answered when it comes to intelligent alien life. Alien beings that humans can actually communicate with and maybe coexist with. I've made a video already kind of discussing and theorizing why I'm hoping the game's story is going to lead to that eventual reality that you will find intelligent alien life. There's just something about how they discuss everything around this game that makes me believe that that will be the case. That is why with the news of the game having a new game plus mode, that if we do find intelligent life, they will act as that new game plus, basically allowing you to use them for whatever it is that you do after the main part of the game is over. I think that's actually a pretty smart idea, whether it's true or not. Funny enough, that actually leads us into the next part of this interview where Owen drops the question of whether that is the theme of the game. And Emil basically says not necessarily, but it is a start. He basically answers the question in the most vague way possible because it definitely feels like you can tell he's trying not to give anything away. He wants you to question everything, which I think is a smart way to go about it because it gets people interested. Emil also speaks to how Constellation as a faction is going to be that main component of how you explore it because they are the ones that want to find out if that question can become a reality by you, the player, thinking about it for yourself. On the topic of the Constellation faction, Emil spoke to how Constellation is going to act as a really important part of the game's lore and story, but that Constellation, as an example, is not going to be pigeonholing you to just be required to focus everything on them. They basically can act as a neutral element, to where you can go and do other good or bad things, and they're not going to hold you down for that. The faction is built up of people of all types of backgrounds that do good and bad things, and so I think this is a really key part of why I think this game could be really good for a lot of different players of different playstyles. Constellation, of course, is the one that is of the main focus as opposed to other factions, and Emil really wanted to make that abundantly clear. This is a smaller thing, but Emil revealed that originally the game was supposed to have a voiced protagonist, akin to how a game like Fallout 4 did. He said that he thought it would come out as being too specific, and that the only way to really go about it was to let the player be the person that they want to be, as opposed to being stuck with whoever the character would have been originally. An example of this kind of goes to a game like the Dead Space remake recently, where that version of Isaac Clarke is given a voice, so you feel like you are now playing more as that character, as to where in the original game you probably would have just fit yourself into that role without there needing to be a voice. Emil even spoke to where that he says that there was once a time in the gaming industry where it was a normal thing for a main character to have a voice in a story game. He spoke to how they wanted to change it up for this game and just basically make it to so it has allowed us, the player, to create a much bigger world. So that's basically where the main portion, I think, of important parts of the interview comes to an end. There was a few more questions after that, but I didn't feel like they were that big of a deal to address. They were more in line with speaking to Emil's personal side of working on the game. So this actually now leads into the main question that I wanted to ask of you all with regards to all the information that I discussed in this video. I actually personally think that a lot of this information is pretty big for a lot of players out there who are going to be playing this game. I think there were so many other things discussed in this interview that are going to leave people asking a lot of questions. This is basically leading into my discussion of how you guys, the player, are viewing this notion of how Bethesda is handling religion and intelligent alien alien life in the game. The interview really leaned heavily into this, and it seems like the game is also going to lean heavily into it as well. I simply want to put forth a question to you all of how you believe this game is going to be handled in terms of religion for how the player is going to play the game. Do you think it is going to be distracting, or do you think it just adds to what makes for great video game lore? There are definitely two sides to this, and I feel it is important to have conversations around both. I again have discussed in another video theorizing what the story could revolve around, because I do believe that intelligent alien life is going to be something that we see. I don't know if that's going to be the end game of it all, or if it's just a small portion, but there's just something in me that believes it will happen. On top of that, that really does connect in religion with this all. A lot of people in real life have spoken to how religion would really basically collapse under itself if humans were to discover intelligent alien life out there, or just any random aliens like alien animals or anything that is not even really intelligent. I am somebody who is not a very religious person in real life, so I don't really feel like I have a big stake in this conversation, which is why I leave the question to you all if you are somebody who is not very religious like me, or if you are somebody who is religious in real life. I would very much appreciate it if you all could have those discussions down below, as long as you are not going crazy about it and keeping it reasonable. I know firsthand that religion is a very important subject for a lot of people, so as long as you keep it reasonable and respectful while agreeing or disagreeing, I would very much appreciate that. Ask all the questions you like, but also leave room for people to have good, reasonable answers. So I think that is pretty much where this video is going to end off. I'm really interested to see what you will have to say, so again, I would very much appreciate it if you could all comment down below all your thoughts on what I had to discuss today in this video, the interview, and everything around those topics. I would also very much appreciate it if you could give the video a like and subscribe if you are somebody who is new here and looking forward to Starfield. We are so close to this release, ladies and gentlemen. I know we are a few days out from early access, but I'm actually still currently debating whether or not I'm going to get it. I've got some stuff going on in real life with school and jobs and so on, and so I need to be able to balance it all to where I can do everything at once. I hope you understand that, and I will still want to make videos even if we don't get that early access and I have to wait till the 6th of September. I hope everyone here has a great rest of the day, and I will see you all soon for another video. This is Orion, signing out.